Introducing.
I am the builder organizer of water. I am compassionate, affectionate, and flexible. Stillness and compatibility are necessary when sensitive natured beings are faced with cruelty and conflict in the world. Emotional troubles can create a desire for escape or bring up deep insecurities. Allow common sense to take charge and be not seduced by a need to throw tantrums. Change is coming, taking the form of new life, new creation, new love. Listen closely to one's own intuition and creativity will arise, allowing dreams to manifest. This is a time for deep compassion and love for oneself and others. Look to one's inner child and allow imagination to bring forth freedom and youthful inspiration. I follow my bliss and am perfectly prepared to achieve my dreams.
Look at me. I'm evolving. I'm gonna evolve. Watch. I'm evolving. Look at me evolving. Yeah, flying through time and space. Yeah.
My emotions are my accomplices. Together, we create the balanced, thriving life of our dreams.
Introducing the builder, organizer of water. Yellow.
Peace, y'all. Welcome back to Decolonization for Dreamers. Hood Hippie Universe's Dreamers Anonymous, where we are working the 12 steps of decolonization. And as we leave the resourcing moon for the well-being moon, we have been working the third step. After we have admitted that under colonization our lives have become unmanageable. And we have admitted that decolonization alone, when it's left just up to us, is also unmanageable, out of our control, something we cannot do alone. And after we have come to find a power greater than ourselves and chosen to believe that that power can and will reorganize, restore and restore our lives with, in, and to sanity. We then began to work with, to sit in what it is to give our willpower, to give what power we do have to that power greater than ourselves. What is it to admit that we are powerless, that we can't do it alone, that we can't do it? What is it to locate a power greater than ourselves that can? And then what is it to give what power we've just admitted we don't have to that power that is greater than ourselves. Okay, I'm going to try to summarize and then we'll go into more story and unpacking. So, step 3 is about giving our power over to the power that we have identified as greater than us, that can organize and restore our lives, restore us within to sanity. So, for me, this is a lot about interconnectedness and about the essential process of returning fully to our inherent, to our intrinsic, to our absolute interconnectedness, and that being about a process of trust and a process of reorientation of what is the self, what is the other, and how are we engaged in harmony and in a good way. We're talking about shifting our experience of the powers bigger than ourselves from those surface powers that can be quite sociopathic and quite genocidal and quite harmful and quite psychologically terrorizing and manipulative, and really shifting the ways that we are built in relationship to that power bigger than ourselves, to actual interconnectedness in a web, in a wheel, in a circle, in a spiral that is not about hierarchy, that is not about manipulation and extraction, that is about coexistence in a way that each part of it, each part of the whole is essential and important and sacred. And so it's about shifting this experience of a us and a them, of the power bigger than us being a power that seeks to dominate us in one way or another, and rather the power bigger than us being the whole and being the intelligence of the whole together. And so turning to those things that seem like enemies, that seem like obstacles, that seem like things that are inherently wrong because they have been harming us so deeply and for so long, and actually turning to them as having medicine for us, as being helpers and guides to what we are here for. What if everything here in existence is a part of being help, is a part of being a guide to what we are here for, to the way that this whole speaks through us and the way that we speak for and as the whole? Now, throughout time, our peoples have had ways of speaking with the sentience of life, with God, with chaos and pattern, with whatever you want to call it, with the things that move together that are bigger than just us. And one of the ways that we've been doing that is through an ancient and also contemporary system called the Tarot. And the Tarot is a very interesting system because it has many stories of what its history is. And it contains paths, praxises, cosmologies from many different systems and peoples through many different time periods, eras. And it definitely works with the wisdom systems of Kemet, of Egypt, of the Kabbalah, of the mystic Judaic path, of astrology and the studies of the stars and the planets and the ways that they create matrix and inform energy. And it's also something that emerged as a bourgeoisie game in France. And it's also something that is said to have been turned into a game in order to hide the wisdom paths from the colonial powers that outlawed the more indigenous praxises and cosmologies The cards that we know now, playing cards, are said to contain the wisdom of the tarot and to have been created like capoeira, as a martial art hidden as a dance, as a wisdom system hidden as a game. One of the things that practice does is the poetics of that shit is so perfect. The way that it aligns and the story that tells is amazing. Every time, it's uncanny. So one of the ways that I talk with this power bigger than myself is through the tarot. And so there's a way that I've been training my mind for years now, for almost a decade now, very explicitly, following the moon, a celestial body that is communicating with my water body, and following those moon cycles, the celestial body and this body, with a language embedded in the tarot. And I say all this to say I have a 12-month spread. I drew 4 cards from 4 different decks. Each moon cycle has its own 4 cards that help me see the energies of this moon. And this last moon, the resourcing moon, the sacred path card is Great Mystery. So I wanted to read to you a passage from Great Mystery as a way of highlighting a practice and a way of being with this third step, this giving of our power to this higher power that can, where we can't, restore our sanity and organize our lives. The original source of creation is called Great Mystery by many of the Native Americans here on Turtle Island. Great Mystery called Sueño in our Seneca tongue. This is Jamie Sams from the Sacred Path and the Animal Cards deck. Called Sueño in our Seneca tongue, cannot be limited, and is the creator of Great Spirit. Many Native people also call upon the Great Spirit when praying. However, these are 2 different things in our Seneca tradition. The Great Mystery lives in everything, is everything, and encompasses everything in creation, being the original source of creation. Great Mystery created all things in beauty, harmony, and interdependence. Each facet of creation was, is, and always will be. The forms may change, but the energy of creation is self-regenerative and eternal. Inside of this infinite creation that is Great Mystery, there is a vibral core or primal energy source that is the Great Spirit or creative principle. The 2 are different. Both Great Mystery and Great Spirit are individually complete, unique, and independent of each other. Great Mystery created Great Spirit to direct the creative flow of the uni-worlds, which include all universes, all levels of consciousness, all understanding, and all life. The key for seekers who wish to know the answers of the void is that Great Mystery does not need to be solved. As we explore and discover the mystery further, we learn that more is created and allowed to evolve. Trying to figure out all the answers to the Great Mystery is foolish and impossible because we are part of that infinite progressive creation. It's not done, so you can't figure it out. As you learn, it grows and changes, so there's more to learn, and that is an infinite process. All creations are part of Great Mystery's whole. Just as every cell in the human body has a different function, and yet together those cells make up a carbon combustion unit that houses a spirit with a unique identity. All human ideas are birthed from the spirit inside the human body, are fed to the brain, and then acted upon through the will of the total being. All ideas in creation come from Great Mystery, are gathered by a Great Spirit, and then are used to feed the rest of creation. All ideas in creation come from great mystery, are gathered by great spirit, and then are used to feed the rest of creation. To limit the power of creation in ourselves or others is a human concept. If we acknowledge the limitlessness of great mystery, we must acknowledge that this life force is also a part of our makeup because we are created by that same original source. So what I hear in what Jamie Sams from the Seneca tribe, from the Haudenosaunee people of what is now the northeastern United States, what I hear her saying, and this wisdom connected to through the lens of our third step and our first two and decolonization for dreamers and our Dreamers Anonymous process, is that power that we admitted we didn't have, that we then went to locate in something bigger than ourselves, that we then gave up to that thing that is bigger than ourselves, that whole process is a way of returning to great mystery, is a way of saying, I don't know and I can't do this. And the I we're talking about there is the individual, is the small self, is the ego, is the conditioned by colonial processes mind. And in that process, that's a decolonial process, we are returning our sense of self and our sense of agency to the whole. And in that practice, we are returning ourself to that great mystery and that great spirit, the organizing principle, the creative principle. And in that process, for me, this month, there's been an invitation. It's not that I then don't do anything, can't do anything, say fuck my thoughts, say fuck my ego, say fuck my body and my life. It's actually the opposite. It's this process of like, this is not mine in the way that I have been conditioned to think. This is actually this whole thing. My thoughts are actually coming from the source of the universe. My feelings, my movements, my life, and actually everything else is. And so what I might think of as a solution, what I might think I know about what colonization is and decolonization is too small if I'm thinking from just here. If I'm thinking even from just here. If I'm thinking from just here. Right? It's actually a surrendering and an allowing for this whole thing to have equality and equity in my experience of what is true, what is right, what is happening, what is. And if I can be in the paradoxical process of fully surrendering and trusting that what is coming through me is an essential and equally important part of the creative source and organizing principle of this universe, while also holding it as one part of a gablillionth of that organizing source and principle, that's a whole different game. What if all the shit that feels so wrong is not wrong, is a part of it? What if all the shit that feels so right is not the only thing that's right? It's just a part of it. Then what? What does that change? What does that shift? What does that allow for? What does that relieve? What does that answer? What does that transform? What if the trees have as much or more information than I do to help me answer the question, what is decolonization? What if the bird songs moving through my ears and through my body are part of the answer? And the wind and the clouds and the sun What if those who feel like my enemies, who actively pursue my death, who want to harness my life, my body, my time, my life force, my spirit for their own benefit at my detriment, are actually a part of it? Then what? What if it's bigger than my life, than their lives, than all of our lives right now, individually? Then what? A major part of the decolonial process has to be one of returning to our intrinsic, inherent, absolute interconnectedness. So, a major part of that for those of us raised in colonial projects must be a negotiation with trust. Because if I am to drop into my interconnectedness and how connected I am to this world, to be interconnected, to be safe, to be free, to be an agency, and to be in harmony, I must have trust, and the trust must be shared. So if we're talking about surrendering our power, or recognizing that we are powerless and giving what power we may think we have to something bigger than ourselves, there's a negotiation with what powers we have been attuned to and what powers have been given by us or by the worlds around us, that power, our power. So on the surface level, the powers that govern and organize our lives, our worlds, our cities, our lands, our airs, our skies, the whole thing, they have been in so many ways seeking to destroy us. So there's gotta be a process of learning what is trust. How do we do it? When do we do it? Who do we do it with? And there's gotta be a disconnecting, a dismantling, a disrupting, a disillusionment of the powers that have been given power in our world and in our lives and in ourselves. I was born in Berkeley and was raised in between Berkeley and Oakland, was born in 1983. And this is, a decade or so after J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the Central Intelligence Agency, said the biggest threat to national security was the Black Panther free breakfast program, where they were feeding young children who were food insecure in the mornings, encouraging them, reminding them of their beauty, their sacredness, their importance, and encouraging them and supporting them and walking them then to go get their education at school. This was the biggest threat to national security, according to J. Edgar Hoover, one of the people in control of deciding the organizing principles of the powers on the surface that govern my world. So, as a young Black boy, multiracial, but as a young Black boy, I'm the biggest threat to national security, to the powers that be, my existence, my well-being, my healthiness. While at the same time, those same people, the CIA, COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program designed to destroy the Black empowerment movements and resilience in our communities, are literally waging war in South America and in Central America, where they are sending economic hitmen, where they are destabilizing economies so they can topple governments, so they can put in their own power structure, so they can be in control of the organizing powers on the surface of those worlds, taking the resources from there, the sacred resources, the medicinal plants of the ancient peoples of those lands, turning it, synthesizing it into a poison, filling my community with it, Oakland being one of the epicenters of the crack cocaine pandemic, while at the same time filling our communities with the same guns that they are giving to the Contras that they are setting up to topple those governments, while at the same time covering those events on the news as if it is our fault and using it as a way to criminalize us and turn us into monsters. So our mental health, our physical health, our communal and familial and relational health is being devastated by the poisons, being devastated by the psychological terrorism of agents from COINTELPRO, from the CIA, infiltrating our resilience movements and destroying our capacity to trust each other. And then giving us guns so that in that devastated, traumatized state, and we're talking about intergenerational, because if it's like that in 1983, when we have so much narrative about civil rights and we have so much narrative about integration and we have so much narrative about equality, imagine what it's been like up until that point. And we're talking about liberal California, right? This is happening in. So imagine what it's like in other places and where the families have had to flee from to come here. So we're talking about layers and layers and layers. At the same time, they're criminalizing us and turning us against ourselves and each other. They are criminalizing the things that they are putting in, and so families turn against each other because the mothers who are on government aid, if their sons are selling drugs, they are being given by the CIA, then they will be kicked out of the free housing that they are receiving or the subsidized housing that they're receiving that they need because they are economically apartheided from the economy, and so they are in need of that housing. If they then let their son keep living with them who has received the drugs from the CIA and is then using that to create more economic mobility, they will be kicked out of the home. And so mothers start kicking their sons out of the home, and that creates intergenerational rifts even further. So like many layers of mistrust connected to the experience of the organizing powers that be. So it's a deep process, and this is my personal orientation. This is my positionality, and this is only a part of my positionality that I'm talking about here for this point. But we all have these experiences because if the organizing powers are willing to do that to my community, they're doing that shit to everybody in a different way. You can't be a vicious genocidal sociopath and then be a fucking sweet, perfect, healthy human being to the people that you think you love, right? So we all get in this in different ways, right? So we all get in this in different ways, right? So we all get in this in different ways. And we all feeling it in different ways because we're intuitive, sensitive beings, because we're all interconnected. So we're all feeling it. So I just say that to say, we all have these woundings around the experience of the governing powers of our lives. And that's we're not even going to like our personal family dynamics and the governing powers there, right? There's all of that. So what does it mean to turn into a place of powerlessness? First step, to be vulnerable enough as a dispossessed people, one way or another, to explore powerlessness when powerless means you are dead. It means intergenerationally, your people are wiped off the face of the earth. And let alone to then give that power that you might sense you have, or to allow that powerlessness to then go to a power that is bigger than us, that is organizing our world. And to let this world, as is organized by those type of cats, be inspired by a divine presence? Why would I want to trust that divine presence if they doing all that shit, or if they're a part of that shit, or how do we trust? How do we give our power over How do we recognize our powerlessness? And how does that process become an empowering process? We're using the 12 steps of decolonization, and so we're inherently having this conversation about sobriety. What I hear in all of these questions and stories right now is in part a question about sobriety. It's like, what is the power of allowing the world to be what it is? And especially those parts that we struggle with over and over and over again. And to just pause there, because for me it's really easy to hit that and be like, okay, cool, yeah, powerless, I got that, yeah, sober, yeah, the world is what it is, I know that shit, like, let's get to work. And there's a way that, like, that feels really suspicious to me. It feels like the inertia of the forward death march west that Europeans have been on since Rome, or before, since Kemet, since we left Africa. Like the march towards progress, we ain't got time to stop, we got so many people, growing numbers of houseless people, of hungry people, and we're still trying to get to Mars. We got multi-billionaires who could literally pay off all the student debt and it wouldn't make a dent in their pockets, who could literally, like, we've got double the amount of vacant houses in this country than we do houseless peoples. It feels like that energy that's just like, gotta keep going. And of course, hypervigilance, because this shit is devastating and we're desperate and it's hard and we've been needing this shit to change. But that still feels like me, small me, trying to control what I cannot. Because we've been in this project for much longer than I've been born, and humans have seemed to be like this, some of us, since we've been doing the human things, at least since we've been doing agriculture and writing and things like that. So small me, not even a speck of dust to the expanse of human existence in this way. That's that arrogance that's like, it's gonna be me, I'm gonna be the one. And so what is the power of just like, whoa, this is much bigger than me. This is what it is. It's been like this for a long time. And that being a move that calls upon the interconnectedness of all of us to be in that question with me. What do we do? What is this and what is needed? How can we alleviate suffering? And there's a way that move is not a giving up. It's not an accepting and a becoming complicit. It can be a move of like, actually, all y'all, everything ever, the organizing principle of this world, the creative principle of this world, of all the worlds, I need your help. Yo. That feels gangster as fuck to me. It feels confusing. It feels scary. In some ways, it feels counterintuitive. How can I trust a power bigger than me when the power bigger than me that seems to be most powerful in this world keeps on going with its white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative, extractive, capitalist, earth-destroying, human-destroying inertia? And let's also acknowledge the beauty, the perfect designs of nature, the symbiosis that we exist in. The resilience that we keep overcoming with generation after generation the tension and the balance of the processes of navigating how we organize these worlds, the seasons, the flow through different ways of organizing. I have a homie who lives 20 minutes from the place where his peoples have gone to go underground each time over eons and eons. We talking about hundreds of thousands of years. Each time the earth has changed. I mean, like ice age, sulfur, hella hot, hella wet, flood, all that shit. He lives 20 minutes from the place where his peoples have gone underground in an intergenerational process where they somehow survive underground while the earth is not habitable above ground. And then they come back up and they know where to go. And they have those stories, and those stories have been passed down. So there's possibility that this is all a part of something bigger. What does justice, what does equity, what does well-being, what does warriorhood, what does urgency, what does need look like when we're at least not fighting what is as if it is an abomination to existence, as if it should not be? And what is the cost of engaging with the world as if there are things that should not be? If we are interconnected, if we have mirror neurons, if we experience that which we project onto others as if it is happening to us in some ways, if we experience the energy of that which we project out to others within, what is the cost of approaching colonization and the suffering under colonization and the need for decolonization from that place? What is the power of asking everything for help and for guidance, and engaging with everything as if it has help and guidance for us? Baba Trump lit this world on fire and woke a lot of people up. Woke a lot of people up in ways that the gaslighting of this country had made them sleep too. Obama woke a lot of people up to their white supremacy and their rage that had yet to be processed from their intergenerational trauma as white supremacists who have bought in to the lies, to the false promises of this country. If you're white, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna take care of you. We're gonna give you everything you need. You could be rich. You could be interconnected, but not responsible to anything you're interconnected to. You could actually be the one controlling everything you're interconnected to, knowing full well that they needed most white folks to be part of the fucking sharecropping workforce as well. We might treat you a little bit better. We ain't gonna murder you on the street, but we'll murder you in the mines, and we'll murder you in the factories, and we'll murder you in the hospitals. We'll murder you with the products, slowly, subtly, in ways we can deny for 40 years until it's too late. So what if everything here, every part of it, can help us and can give us guidance? And what if when we approach things that way, we then approach ourselves more that way? We don't make ourselves enemies to ourselves or to the world in the same way. And then we can hear, we can experience our own experience as a direct manifestation of the source of this place and the creative principle of this place. Shit, I don't know. Third step, yo. Third step. That's a thought. What you think?
I receive only that which my Ori accepts from me. I honor and give thanks to my Ori.
The ninth fire.
Look at me. I'm evolving. I'm gonna evolve. Watch. I'm evolving. Look at me evolving. Yeah, flying through time and space. Yeah.
Moon cycle rider. Lion's pride. Griot pharaoh. Harmony's humble servant. Today, to integrate the strength of the ninth fire, call upon your true intentions, even if you are not completely conscious of what they are. Summon them by imagining them as one sound, like the perfect note plucked on a harp. While a lion purrs and the sun buzzes under the moon, inhale from the bottom and the top of your body, in the soles of your feet and the center of the top of your head. You may see something. You may have a sensation, you could hear a sound or get a sense that it's there. Be okay with whatever happens. Connect with your Ori. Get quiet. Focus your attention at the top of your head. Notice sensation as it moves through. Notice the sounds. Feel. Sense. Whatever happens is okay.
Ori, literally meaning head, refers to one's spiritual intuition and destiny. It is the reflective spark of human consciousness embedded into the human essence and therefore is often personified as an Orisha in its own right.
My Ori ensures that others respect me. I honor my Ori. My Ori respects others. I honor my Ori. My Ori remains humble. I honor my Ori. My Ori is always seeking to grow. I honor my Ori. My Ori is always bringing blessings my way. I honor my Ori. My Ori guides me to positive relationships. I honor my Ori.
It is Ori whom I will praise. My Ori, it is you. If I have children on earth, it is Ori whom I will praise. My Ori, it is you. All the good things that I have on earth, it is my Ori to whom I will give my praise. My Ori, it is you. Ori, I hail you. You who always remember your devotee. You who give blessing to your devotee more quickly than other gods. No god blesses without the consent of Ori. Ori, I hail you.
My Ori is open to the wisdom of Ifa. My Ori is open to the guidance of Arumala. My Ori welcomes assistance from Orisha. My Ori welcomes and embraces my Egungun. My Ori welcomes assistance from my Egungun.
Orí ẹni kì í ṣaká ẹni, orí ẹni kì í ṣaká yan. Orí olóore orí jẹun.
You're your own multiverse. Orí, yeah, orí mi o, wá gbé mi débi re, ẹlẹ́dàá mi o. Yeah, orí, yeah, orí mi o, wá gbé mi débi re, ẹlẹ́dàá mi o. Ṣé borí lẹ́jà nífin láì bú lọ.
I receive only that which my Ori accepts from me. I honor and give thanks to my Ori. I say.
First, I aim my face.
Ocean, ocean.
I know I'm only an ear and not the whole head. And that I can be a little corny sometimes, and that I have the tendency to pop off. With so many ears around me, it makes me curious what the rest of the head is like.